What's up, guys? It's officially been 2 years since I adopted a fully plant based vegan diet. And I guess this is the point where, my bones are going to start crumpling and I'm slowly going to start withering away and dying. But no, actually, now what I'm hearing is that, that'll start happening around the 7 year mark. But on the real, guys, this is truly the best that I've ever felt in my entire life. I mean, it's been the easiest that has ever been in my entire life to consistently maintain a low body fat percentage. I've always been, kind of an OCD guy. I track just about everything, and I'm one of those people. I track my weight every single day, first thing in the morning. And looking back now, as I look back and all the graphs and everything over the years, and the pictures especially, I can see how in the past, I used to, my weight used to fluctuate like crazy throughout the year. I'd be, cut part of the year, and then all of a sudden I'd be fat, and then I'd be, cut again a couple of months later, and then I'd be fat part of the years, and it was just like this crazy cycle and the huge fluctuations in weight, where now, just consistently all year long, I pretty much weigh the exact same all year, and it's been, just consistently have a lean figure all year long. And it's funny because I've never tried such a wide variety of foods in my life. A lot of, contrary to what a lot of people would think, that eating a vegan diet, most people assume that vegans only eat like salads and like apples and stuff, but on the contrary, like I said, I've never eaten such a wide variety of foods in my entire life. I mean, I'm constantly trying, new foods and discovering new foods and recipes. I mean, I'd never had falafel, all kinds of beans and grains that I'm trying, and all different kinds of fruits and different vegetables and different cooking dishes, because I'm not worried about, counting carbs. So, I'm just, cooking all kinds of different dishes from different cultures all over the world. I'd never really had tofu before. I thought it was disgusting. And I don't eat tofu that often, but when you cook it the right way, it actually does taste delicious, and I've grown to love it. And so I really eat like a king, and I know that sounds crazy, but I eat as much as I want, till I don't count calories, or even worse, count carbs. I just eat till I'm satiated. And I pack it down. That's one of my favorite things, is that I get to just eat a ton of food. I get to eat more. And I just feel great. I mean, I remember before, like I was, counting carbs and, really aggressively tracking calories, and I would look forward to the day on Sunday where I could finally have some carbs, because I did the keto diet and bulletproof and all this, the paleo, before they were even popular. I remember I was doing keto and no one heard of it, obviously people did, but not many people. It wasn't like it is nowadays where everybody knows about it. And and I was hitting it hard, and then like all week I would look forward to Sunday. That would be like my my carving up day, and I would eat all the carbs, and I just remember all week just like savor, couldn't wait to have those carbs. Where now it's like I get to enjoy the carbs, all the carbs, baby. And when I get my blood work checked regularly, and I have everything is in check, in line. I do supplement with B12. I do supplement with vitamin D, which I think everybody should anyways, because even when I was eating an animal-based diet, I still had inadequate levels of vitamin B12 and vitamin D. And so, regardless of what diet you're on, I think those are two supplements that everybody should supplement with. And as far as protein goes, that's probably the number one most common question that I get asked. Where do you get your protein from? Well, protein is in virtually all plants. I mean, even rice has protein. So as long as you're eating enough food, then you're going to get enough protein. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that people have when they go into trying to eat a vegan diet or plant-based diet, is that two mistakes that I see. Number one is that they don't eat enough calories because they don't know what to eat. And I did that in the beginning. I didn't really know what to eat, because it's a learning curve. I mean, you're literally undoing a lifetime of conditioning and growing up, with thinking that you need animal products with every single meal. and so it's a learning curve. And so a lot of people, because they don't really know what to eat, they don't eat as much calories, and then they don't feel as good, and then they're eating vegan junk food. That's the other second biggest mistake that I see people do when they go onto this type of diet, is they start eating a lot of vegan junk food. I mean, for example, things like Oreos are vegan, or Coca-Cola, chips, all kinds of junk food, cookies and things are, there's so much vegan junk food. People get the frozen prepackaged vegan meals from the grocery store, all kinds of things like that, and next thing you know, they wonder why, they're feeling all bloated and they're feeling like crap and they don't feel good, and then they just blame it on the vegan diet. Oh, I did that, it didn't work and everything, when really they just they weren't educated in how to do it properly. So there is a learning curve to it. You got to figure out what works for you, as you go along. I mean, nowadays we live in a day and age where, there is literally a vegan version of every single food, delicious vegan versions of every single food. There's even vegan tuna fish. I've never had it before, but I've seen it in the store. I'm kind of nervous to try that. And some of that stuff I wouldn't, recommend, because, again, that's what I'm saying. People who have the problems eating the vegan diet, they eat all these vegan type of fake food, and they're loaded with sodium. They're loaded with God knows what else, all kinds of things to make it vegan. And it's okay once in a while if you want to, have that. Sure, like I said, I'll eat some vegan junk food once in a while. But, for the majority of the time, I try to eat a whole food plant-based diet. Fruits, vegetables. I love shakes and all kinds of fruits, vegetables in it. I love a big salad. I'll eat a big salad, I had to buy these giant wooden bowls so I could make these monstrous salads where I put all kinds of stuff in it, and a nice healthy dressing, and it tastes absolutely delicious. I use the same bowl. I'll make giant things of oatmeal, put in oatmeal and all kinds of stuff into it, seeds and cheese seeds and hemp seeds and all kinds of berries and things into it, and it tastes absolutely delicious. It's making me hungry just thinking about it. So I eat lots of fruit. I love fruit, snacking on fruit. All kinds of things. But, don't get me wrong. I do like my vegan junk food as well, but everything in moderation. And so that's what I've seen. So some of the biggest problems that people going into this kind of lifestyle, they don't eat enough calories, and then they eat vegan junk food, and then they end up feeling like crap, or either losing weight, all their muscle, or losing a lot of their muscle mass, or getting bloated and gaining fat. And it's because that they didn't really know what they were doing. So there is a learning curve involved, especially after a lifetime of conditioning of, eating animal products and everything like that. So a couple books that I highly recommend is Eat to Live. That's one of the best books, and it's not too in your face pushing veganism on you. It's a balanced book where, even if it even says in the book, if you want to eat animal products, that's okay. Just, eat mostly plants. And he goes and he shares the information in a great way, that's flexible to where, because I know it can be intimidating for some people to think of jumping into eating, they can never have cheese or any of their favorite foods again. So Eat to Live is an excellent book. How Not to Die, that's a great one. And a couple documentaries that I highly recommend that helped me wake up, and and I recommend them as well. Number one, Earthlings. When you watch that, you're going to see the truth, about the animal ethics behind it, things that you never think about. You never really think about how leather is made, but it's a really sick and a cruel process. When you learn about it's a brutal movie, but I highly recommend to watch it to understand the truth, or else you're just going to be living in ignorance. But when you see the Earthlings documentary, you'll see the truth behind all these different categories. And another one is Cowspiracy as well. Excellent documentary, and it talks about the implications of an animal-based diet on and how it affects, and how it's basically leading to the destruction of the planet. It's one of the number one reasons, actually it is the number one reason that the Amazon rainforest is being destroyed, is to make room for animal agriculture and growing soybean, and the soybean production is specifically made for the cattle that will be consumed specifically for meat. And so it's pretty crazy, when you watch that and you see, about how the aggressive, the mass fishing boats that are out there in the ocean just depleting, the mass levels of fish and everything. And And then again, you see it from the big corporate factory farms in the U.S. that have just tons of, thousands of pigs stuffed in there, and their waste is going into the rivers and destroying the ecosystem and everything. So it's pretty crazy. We live in this bubble where we only, we don't know all this stuff that's going on. But when you go down that rabbit hole and you start learning about this, that it's more than just health, but they're also with a bigger picture as well. It starts to make you, realize. And then also health. I mean, when you look at the science and the studies from, the top, medical professions and, nutritional organizations in the world, you'll collectively see that, eating a plant-based diet, or at least most of your diet coming from plants, whole food plants, that that is going to make you have the best chance of living a long, healthy, disease-free and cancer-free life. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but it'll increase your chances. Just look up online about the blue zones, which are basically the regions and the areas of the world where people have lived the longest throughout history. And and as it talks about it, you'll see that those are people that they weren't necessarily vegan or anything like that, but they had the areas where the animal product consumption went down and more plants were consumed. As you look at the curve, it just, the numbers don't lie. People, and then they live longer, they have less disease, less cancer. And then on the opposite end, the countries that eat the most animal products and consume the most animal products, they end up having the highest rates of cancer, disease, heart disease. And it's crazy, And so, I mean, just today I was watching a video saying how 50% of Americans have either diabetes or will get diabetes in their life. So clearly we're doing something wrong. And this is something simple that anyone can do to, to start to make a change, in your own life and, in the bigger picture as well. But not, diverging too much, but really, like I said, I've never felt better. I don't, people will ask me, don't you miss any of your old foods and things like that? It's been so long now that no, I don't, because there are so many delicious foods that I've come to learn and discover about as eating on a vegan diet that, I don't think about like the chicken wings and the bacon and things like that, because there are so many other new foods that I've discovered that I like even better than I used to like those. And I know that sounds crazy, but, I guess you'd have to just like walk a week in my shoes and in my life to understand that, I really do eat like a king. And that, I eat till I'm content. I eat the most delicious foods to me. I know maybe some foods that I eat now, I might not have liked the taste of them a couple of years ago. But what happens is that, every so many days, I believe it's, from 30 to 90 days, your blood recycles, your taste buds change. And so you'll start, as you jump into this journey, then your taste buds in the beginning, things might not taste good to you, but all of a sudden, in time, you'll start to find that you start to appreciate and you start to like the taste of certain things. Like, for example, I remember when I was younger, my dad, he, when I was, in high school and I was really trying to get into like strong and weightlifting, my dad was like, yeah, start eating tuna. And so at first, when I started eating it, I was like, oh, this is nasty. But then all of a sudden, after a while of eating the tuna, I grew to like it. Of course, I don't eat tuna anymore, but I remember, all of a sudden my taste buds changed over time, and something that I thought was so nasty, I grew to like it. And same thing with like onions and mushrooms and different things that I didn't like that now that I thoroughly enjoy. So, so in the beginning, there's certain things you might not like the taste of, but you'll grow to like them in time. Like, for example, vegan cheeses. I don't eat, vegan cheese all the time, but treats on the weekends, things like that. I had a vegan pizza the other day, and it was delicious, where, in the beginning, I might not have liked the taste of it. But in time, your taste buds do adapt and do change. And so being, I'm definitely going to continue on, on this journey. I love, the lifestyle, being a vegan. I think it's cool. It's, one of the hardest parts though is dealing with other people, because people my gosh, I can't believe how triggered other people can get, just by, me eating a certain way. It's amazing. Back when I used to eat animal products, like nobody bothered me about what I ate. But then all of a sudden now, every single meal that I eat out in public with other people, I'm always getting the 50 questions, the 21 questions or whatever, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh my gosh, just let me eat in peace. Can't we just talk about something else? Like, people bring it over and over, and it's like a wind-up doll, like, where do you get your protein from? Where do you get the B12? I should never eat like that. But bacon. And it's like you hear the same things over and over. It's like, oh my gosh. That's one of the most difficult parts about, living this lifestyle and being a vegan is just, the ignorance that, and I get it because I used to be one of those people that used to make fun of and do the same type of things with people, but, you just hear it over and over. And, so that's the difficult part. People don't get it, but I've grown to learn how to respond and react when people make certain comments and things like that. And it's all good. I got a sense of humor. If you guys want to crack jokes at me or whatever, it's fine. But in time, your taste buds, will change, and it gets easier, and it's a lot of fun. And since going down this rabbit hole of, I'm a big time researcher, so I love to research and go down the rabbit hole deep. I mean, I've, spent many weekends just pulling like all-nighters, watching YouTube videos and reading books, just like, and coming out Monday morning like, just because like I filled my brain up with so much wild knowledge about, all kinds of like, alternative subjects. But by adopting this lifestyle and everything, it's opened up new doors on totally different subjects that I've dove down and learned about that I would never have been open to before. But because I'm a researcher, I find that a lot of different subjects are kind of like pieces of a bigger puzzle, and I enjoy seeing how all the different puzzle pieces fit together. So I know this is kind of getting off topic now, but just want to say that I've changed. I've changed so much as a person since I used to before be very materialistic and more externally driven, by like glamorous things and wanted to be like the millionaire with the the Ferrari and just like all the exotic stuff, and I was all about status and title and everything. Where I've noticed that I've shifted, and now I'm much more internally driven. I'm a simple guy now. Like I don't, obviously I'm still very driven, and I'm a goal-oriented guy, and I love making money and business and achieving goals. But it's different. I'm not all about the flash and the facades, to me, now I would just love to have just like a tiny home, but a massive fruit garden, which I have a big garden. I'll do a video showing you guys that, but have a massive garden, and and just live a simple, good life. Travel and meditate and yoga and all the spiritual woo-woo things. Those are all things I'm into now. So I'm more internally driven. Whereas before, I was very externally driven. Where now it's like, I'm okay. I set goals and things like that, but I'm okay. If I don't achieve them, it's fine. It's cool. Where before it was like, if I didn't achieve a goal, it was like I couldn't get out of bed the next day. I was so like, where that's no way to live. You got to be grateful for what you have while you're pursuing what you want. So I know I'm kind of digressing now, but by going down this path of like I said, I'm doing this. My number one reason for living this lifestyle is truly for the animals. Number two is for ethics. Is for the health of the planet. And number three is myself. But I'm putting the other things first. And I think as you go down this rabbit hole and you learn about the truth, about the animal industry and about the implications of diet and how it affects the earth, then if that is important to you, then it makes you, because you're wide, instead of just thinking about me, I just want the diet that's going to give me the best six-pack. That's how most people, I just want whatever's going to make me ripped, and jacked. They don't care about, anything else besides themselves, because, bacon, I can't eat like that because bacon. And so, but, as you start to put the bigger picture first and think about other creatures, even beyond just yourself, it changes you. And like I said, I've found that I've become more internally driven. I've become interested in different, deeper subjects that I wasn't before. And because of that, I have so much more peace in my life. I'm truly at the most peaceful and happiest that I've ever been in my life. I just feel like a steady, consistent flow of peace and happiness in my life. And interestingly, my life is like, all areas of my life are doing great right now. Like my family, my friends, my businesses are just booming right now. Financially, everything's going great. And so I think, life changes, as you start to shift from, just only thinking about yourself, to, thinking of the bigger picture. You know what? Eating this diet is going to contribute to the harm to many animals, the harm and suffering to other sentient beings. Eating this diet is going to, contribute to the destruction of things like the rainforest and the depletion of the oceans, et cetera, et cetera. And so as you start to shift and look at, change the way you look at the world, all of a sudden, the world begins to change, and you start to, and you get a new sense of drive in your life. You'll still be driven and motivated, but you realize that as you become internally driven, you realize that you've already won, which is, one of the best rewards, that, you can be happy either way, whether you get the prize or not, you are the prize, and that the happiness is the journey. So, yeah, I'm doing great. 2 years, thriving. I get my blood work checked. Everything is in line. Healthy blood pressure, blood sugar numbers, everything. And I feel awesome. And so I'll definitely do some more videos sharing about my diet, exactly what I eat, and other things like that. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. And I'll put some links in the description to different books and documentaries and things that I recommend to learn more about this diet. And I just want to end off saying this, that I respect everybody's right to eat how they want to eat. I try not to force my views onto anybody else. My philosophy is really just to lead by example, and and just let my example speak for itself. But I'm not. I still love you, even if you eat meat and animal products and dairy and all the things that it's all cool. I don't judge anybody. I know we're all on our own path. We're all on our own journey in life, and I don't think that I'm better than anyone. Or worse. I don't think I'm better or worse than anyone, just because I eat a plant-based diet. I try to remain humble, and I understand that we're all on our own journey, and we all only understand certain things up, with the knowledge that we've received and the experiences that we've been through up into the certain point that wherever we are at in our life. And then, and that when the student is truly ready, that the teacher will appear. But, I got nothing but love for you, regardless of how you decide to eat, it's all good. And, until next time, leave a comment down below if you got any questions, subscribe, like, hit the share button. I've got, more videos on the way, good tips and things like that.